Gene, going back again into the history and development as well, why was this process like? Why did you realize as well that this was going to be so effective? Like on when you were developing this technology, was there some core reasons why you thought this was going to be great for the market today?
Yeah, there's really three parts of it that are real differentiators in this process. The first one is the energy required to do it. Typically, when you're breaking apart large molecules, you have to get them very, very hot, put a lot of
Right.
energy into them in order to break them apart. Ours uses a significantly less energy because it's done chemically. It's not just using heat to break everything. The second part of it is when you break hydrocarbons apart, you end up with a very reactive piece because you've broken it apart, something that wants to be bonded together. And so as you go back to those, if you just leave them unbonded, then they just randomly put themselves back together. So
Okay.
we ran a lot of experiments where, we got really great results, and then all of a sudden we left them overnight and we came back and it was a solid mess of something. And we said, well, that won't
Okay.
work.
Yeah.
And so the second thing we learned was how to quench those bonds. And so the traditional way of doing that in the hydrocarbon market is to use hydrogen to do that. So you put a lot of hydrogen at high heat, and the hydrogen then attaches to those. What we've developed is a new way to do that doesn't require molecular hydrogen, which is really in demand today. It instead uses what we call an H source that creates that hydrogen within the process, and then quenches all of those bonds as we go through it. So we end up with saturated hydrocarbons, which is really stable and really nice. And we do that without using the hydrogen. So that's the second real advantage of the process. And then the third piece of it is because we're not cracking the bonds and doing that very randomly and ending up with a mixture of different hydrocarbons coming out. We have a very selective set of products that we get, and it's all saturated long or string hydrocarbons that are almost immediately fungible, right? So we can, depending on how we run the process, we can tailor that a little bit to a specific product. So if we want to talk about the circularity in the plastic industry, we can tailor that to where we're producing naphtha cracker feed, which immediately goes back into plastics. If we want to do something a little differently, we can tailor that down to the fuel market where we're producing diesel or aviation type fuel.
Oh,
And
okay.
but it all is almost immediately without any really additional processing, able to go through and you can immediately put that on the market.
So it's almost like if you take an old vehicle into the deal, like into a scrap yard, is it almost you're making it the point like whatever potentially the customer needs, you can actually refine the process to deliver that?
Right. So instead of putting it in a big shredder and just coming out with a bunch of different plastics and metal pieces that we
Yeah.
don't know what to do with, we
Yeah.
would go in and say, okay, let's kind of take these things apart. And I've got tires and I've got steering wheels and I've got this. And then I can sell those immediately out into the market, right? So I don't have to spend a lot of effort to get back to something uh, that was valuable. And so, yeah, using that car analogy is a good way to look at it. If I put just a car in a shredder, then I end up with
Yeah.
just a mass of metals and plastics and so forth. And yes, I could go through and eventually pull all that sorted out, but there's a lot of effort to do that. Whereas if I can just, disassemble it more succinctly, then I'll have the pieces that I can immediately go out and sell. So it's